Welcome to the Truth About Employed Physicians podcast, a weekly show where we take you behind the scenes of the professional healthcare industry and reveal the little-known methods highly successful physicians, doctors, and professionals are executing right now to maximize their income, reduce their financial liabilities, and most importantly, regain the freedom to live their lives on their terms. Subscribe to the Truth About Employed Physicians podcast today so you don't miss a single episode of this highly valuable information from our host, a veteran physician with more than 20 years in practice and counting. Now, your host, Dr. Incorporated.
All right. Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Incorporated. I want to welcome you into this week's episode of the Truth About Employed Physicians. We're picking up the conversation I've been having with my son, John, about various elements of the young doctor's life. And it's been very interesting. I've really enjoyed these conversations with John. As we kind of enter into the beginning of a new year this year, 2021, there's a lot going on right now around our country. And I want to thank you as physicians for the way you are continuing to really stand shoulder to shoulder to take care of patients who are dying of COVID, people who are sick, people who are continue to struggle with this. Even though the vaccines began to be rolled out, it's been still pretty challenging on many levels. I know I'm thankful that I got the vaccine, but I've also had a dear aunt that died in the last week, and it's tough. I think most of you probably know somebody close to you that has died or passed away as a result of this COVID-19. And so thank you for all that you do. And I'll jump in here now and talk to John a little bit about the examined life, as John grew up in my home, and as we did a lot of things together, one of the elements of life that he saw in my life and I saw in his life was the nature of accountability, kind of having others built into your life that could kind of speak to your life, maybe provide insights into your life, and really kind of help guide you along the journey as a friend, as a companion, sometimes as an advisor, a counselor, sometimes just somebody who you locked arms with as a good friend. And so, John, as we start out, tell me a little bit about maybe people that you've had in your life up to this point that you would consider people that you kind of let in on your life to be sort of examined. Give us some examples of that, or how important it's been to you.
Sure. I feel like there's a few people that kind of come to mind initially. One would be, I feel like my wrestling coaches in high school. Mm-hmm. I feel like they probably knew me pretty well, and I probably was more open to them than most people. And then other one that comes to mind immediately is my wife. I feel like she's very good at accountability and knows me very well, more than anyone else. And the other would be my friend Ian in med school. We've gotten pretty close and kept each other accountable for a lot of different things, which has been really helpful for both of us in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Why do you think it's helpful to have somebody in your life that kind of is shedding light on areas that you don't see very well yourself?
Well, for that reason, because they shed light on areas that you don't see very well yourself.
Yeah.
And when it's someone that you trust, they're able to be more honest and open with you about the things the flaws that you might have or the mistakes that you make, and they can be more straightforward and honest. And there's kind of a trust between the two of you that you can take that criticism or advice, take it well, and I think that's really important. I think that's a big advantage when you're trying to just do it all on your own. It's very easy to miss a lot of things and to focus in on one thing and sacrifice everything else, or it's easier to make mistakes when you don't have as many people involved, I guess. Two eyes are going to see more than, four eyes will see more than two eyes, and kind of the more people that have your back and your front and your sides, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, I was always grateful going through my medical education experiences, residency, and then even in training to always have a man or two that were good friends, people that I could spend time with, have coffee with regularly, and felt like I could be authentic and honest with them about my life struggles, the hardships, the things that kind of come along that you don't expect, and be able to communicate with them about that and get support. And also, to the same token, speak into their life at the same time. Sometimes that was people in medicine. Sometimes that was people outside of medicine. I think both are equally important, probably, in terms of that examined life. I think it's always helpful to have somebody outside of medicine, though. They keep us grounded in the real world, so to speak, and in the non-medical world, which has some great value as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's the case for sure. But as you look at your peers and look around at other doctors, do you think that they tend to, I don't know, express a desire or willingness to have people in their life like that? Do doctors like accountability?
Probably not. I'd say generally no, because I think that the personality of a lot of doctors is such that we think that we can do it on our own, or they can do it on their own. Especially after having a lot of experience and spending so much time. I think people probably feel like the whole point is you're kind of the top of the chain, and you are the one to be, that's looked to make decisions and do things. And so I feel like it's not necessarily as a doctor's favorite thing to have their flaws, their mistakes pointed out.
I think
to be held accountable to improving.
Yeah, I think most humans don't care for having their flaws pointed out, but I think doctors in particular are trained in a model that sort of requires expectations of perfection. Sort of getting it right the first time is sort of, I think, built into all those years of even undergrad, kind of getting through things and getting it right the first time. And we, I think, we get a little bit confident in ourselves, right, in that context, because we prepare, we are ready for those moments, and we do seem to get it right most of the time because of just the whole process we go through in conditioning. And so I think those perfectionistic tendencies, though, do make it difficult for us to admit errors, make mistakes, do something about them, or let others into our life to speak truth about those things. There's no doubt about that. I think it also can impair our social skills. And I'm sure your wife, just like my wife and your mom, has been such an important person in my life to be able to speak truth to those blind spots in my world. Because, at home, I don't get things right for sure. And maybe in my work world, I have a little higher percentage. But at home, that's just where the rubber meets the road, and nobody's perfect. And so I think a marriage is a great crucible for this examined life, and really having somebody that will lovingly speak truth into you to help you. I'm glad your wife plays that role for you. And so one of the things that I've observed over time, and I think is a real valuable clue for you moving forward in many young physicians, is just the notion that the examined life will almost always outperform the unexamined life. In other words, when you have a handful of people that are helping you overcome your blind spots and really to grow and develop as a person, to kind of broaden your own sense of humanity and identity, you typically do a whole lot better in life downstream than if you put the blinders on and just assume you're right and sort of live in that perfectionistic mode. Have you ever encountered doctors in your training experiences who didn't feel like they needed the examined life, and just kind of, you could tell that they were just going to do it their way no matter what?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Were you attracted much to them at all?
No, I feel like that's kind of the automatic push away. It's, you don't want to say much. Those are the people you don't want to talk around, especially as a medical student. That kind of person, the person you're just going to be quiet, They don't ask you a question, you're not going to say anything.
Yeah.
It's going to be there. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are your kind of classic know-it-all doctors, right? You know, that it doesn't matter how strong you come in or, you know, how you go about answering a question. They'll usually find out some nuance of what your answer was. It wasn't quite right because they're going to tell you kind of the right way to think about it, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And it is a real tension, though, for doctors, I think, who do want to do well, who are perfectionistic, who are high performers, but to kind of be okay with needing others in their life. Tell me about, you know, the elements outside of medicine. I mean, in medicine, I've found having a team of people around me is important. I certainly know in my clinical office, my nursing staff, my front office staff, and all those kind of people are a team of people that are around me all the time, and I need them in the context of teamwork. But outside of the office too, I have a team of, I have actually a couple of accountants. I have several bankers that I work with, and really a whole team of people who help with my financial life to help me perform well as well. Have you and your wife got involved with people or connected to people that are helping you with home life and personal finance life and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like things are a lot less complex when you're 24, 25 years old. So you don't necessarily need as many of those people right now. But I mean, I guess you could say that you've got your advisors in medical school and you've got your financial aid gurus.
You guys do your own taxes?
We could do our own taxes, I guess, but we pay someone to do them.
You do? Okay.
So,
well, wait a second. Your wife's an accountant. You don't do your own taxes?
No.
Wow. How about that? Well, is that just because of the time it takes to do them, or is that really because you like the idea of somebody else looking things over too?
I think probably a combination of we like someone else looking them over, but also, yeah, there's a little bit of extra complexity, and that's just what that's just what we do. So
yeah, right. Yeah. So that's just how things roll for you guys.
Yeah.
Do you do your own, you have savings accounts, I assume, and maybe even some small investment accounts? Maybe some students do, some students don't. Same thing with residents. Do you guys manage that stuff yourself, or do you pass that off to somebody?
No, we do it all ourselves.
You do? You like that part?
Yeah. We used to have someone who helped us with that, but it felt like at our current stage in life, we were better off doing it ourselves because it's not that complex and at this stage. And so we do it all on our own now. And I think we enjoy that. I really enjoy personal finance and finances. So that's sort of, a lot of people find that stressful and would rather pass it off to someone else. But for me, I'd rather do it myself because that's kind of my fun thing to do in my free time, I guess.
Does your wife like to do it since she's in finance and accounting all the time, or is that something she's like, I do this all day long, I don't want to talk about it?
Yeah, she definitely doesn't like to do it. I always want to talk to her about my Excel spreadsheet that I made for whatever, and she's like, John, I looked at Excel spreadsheets the entire day. I don't want to look at Excel spreadsheets after dinner tonight. So you got to find her you have to look at it at some point because they are important things. Yes. So you got to catch it at the right moment.
It's all about the timing, isn't it?
But it's fair enough, I guess, if someone was wanting me to do more patient reviews or something after dinner and I was done with work, I'd be like, I don't really want to do that. Yeah. I did that all day.
Just out of curiosity, do the two of you have a personal budget?
Yep.
You do?
Yeah, we have a budget. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we keep up with it every month and year over year just to see how we're doing. And how closely do you track it? Is that something where you just kind of make it and then we kind of generally know what we're doing this year, or are there some real details that go into it for you? Our first year being married is very detailed and probably overly detailed. And so like very subcategorized as what you'd expect an accountant's budget to look like.
Okay.
Then this past year, it's been more broadly, we've got like a general idea of what we're spending on things, and somewhere probably in the middle is probably better. That's a little bit detailed, so you have an idea of what's going on, but not so detailed that's a little overwhelming and too much time and work that's not really worth it. So but yeah, budget's very important, and we find it valuable and helps you live within your means, which is important. And
helps you know how much you got to ask for loans for, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, especially, I mean, most med students aren't married, and so they don't have someone working to cover a lot of expenses. But I'm fortunate that I am, so we don't have to take out loans for everything like a lot of people do. We don't have to take out loans for living expenses. It's mostly for tuition. You'd have to have a real nice job in order to be able to cover your living expenses and pay for tuition and not take out any loans at all.
Right.
So
is it easy to get loans for the living expenses, not just the tuition?
Oh yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I think all professional degree students are just about guaranteed like $65,000-$70,000 in loans. So I know that for my school that, I mean, you pretty much, they'll get you the loans to cover everything. And so the money flows freely in medical school. So
they're happy to give it to you just because that meter starts right then, and they'll be happy to collect all that interest, won't they?
Yeah, high interest rate loans.
Yeah, and that comes back. And that comes back to that notion of putting people around you that I think are trustworthy, that aren't going to take advantage of you in that context, right? In other words, if you had a friend, somebody who quote your friend who was a loan officer, they're like, yeah, I can get you whatever kind of money you need, right? And they might oversell you on how much you need really, because quite honestly, it's better commission for them, so to speak. Yeah. And that's going to happen to you. I promise. Those kind of things over and over and over again, whether it be the disability insurance salesman or the life insurance salesman or the car salesman or the realtor or the banker or the this or the that investor, et cetera. It just kind of goes on and on for you as you grow in your physician world.
A lot of people trying to make a buck off of you.
There are, and that's where I think having that team of people around you that you have sort of personally assembled, that you can trust, that do know you, that know your goals, that know your interests, that can kind of protect you. I know for me and your mom, we have, again, a really rock solid group of people, especially in the financial side, that we feel like we meet with them quarterly, not just to kind of see how is your investments doing. I actually don't even really keep track of that, to be honest with you. Just in a general sense, I do. I'm aware of what our net worth is, but I'm not kind of looking at it on a regular basis. But I certainly appreciate their advice as we talk about various goals that we might have or things that we want to do, or even some business architecture questions that they speak to that really bring great perspective to me that I didn't know was the case, and that's the beauty of having other professionals in your life that can speak to you and actually keep you from making mistakes, keep you from doing things that are maybe not the right way to go about doing it. And so I think as you move along and as other students and residents move along, assembling people like that in your life will make a lot of sense. It'll help protect you from a lot of heartache. And at the end of the day, I think putting people in your life like that will actually help you to be further ahead again down the road than if you didn't, because frankly, we all have blind spots. We all do. It's the nature of the process that you're going through that you can't be an expert in everything. You just can't. And so having people around you that can fill those holes that are trustworthy are really important. And that's kind of part of the exam in life, honestly. It is. And so So yeah, I think this is an important subject for doctors, and one that's a little more challenging for them, to be honest, to have people in their life that can speak truth to them, that can point out their weaknesses and deficiencies, that can call them on the carpet, so to speak, when they need to. I certainly know in our own home, growing up, there were a few times when I had to go apologize to you, to say, hey, I'm sorry. I spoke out of turn. I did something wrong. And, that was something that we learned in our home, right? That was part of the lab experience that you saw relationally happen to us. That comes back to this examine life piece. In medicine, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make a mistake. It will happen. It's happened to me many times. I try and not let it happen, but it's you can't avoid it. And I tell you, I take that same lab experience from our home into those patient encounters when, frankly, I have to say to a patient once in a while, you know what? I made a mistake. I prescribed the wrong medicine. I interpreted this lab wrong. I sent you to the specialist. Maybe you didn't even need to go there because I interpreted something wrong. It's humbling to do that, but yet it's powerful. And that's even part of the examine life as a doctor in terms of our relationship with patients, right? Because they begin to see us not just as superheroes who have all kinds of crazy powers, but they begin to see us as humans, right? Right. Hopefully take good care of them, but also are not perfect either, right? And so as you and the young people listening to this and other doctors that are listening to this, I'm sure they will have similar experiences. And I hope that you've been able to learn the most important skill that happens to be one of the great life skills, that is learning to apologize, learning to say you're sorry, and really learning from those experiences then to avoid them happening again. Those are powerful things. In fact, the literature says that's one of the greatest deterrents to a malpractice case, is that particular skill right there. And with you being an orthopedic surgeon, you hope, there may be a knee that you replace someday that they come back to see you and didn't turn out quite as well as you'd hoped. And they'll be a little upset about that, and you won't be happy about it either. But, you have the opportunity just to kind of own up to it and say, well, things don't always go the way we expect, right? So I think the examine life is a very important part of our doctor's life, and it's going to ultimately make you and me a better physician in the long run if we're able to do that. So listeners and viewers of this station, social media station, we invite your feedback when it comes to this examined life. Tell us a little bit about your own experience, maybe people that you've assembled in your life that have made a difference, whether it be personally and professionally, maybe it be in your own home, could be in your church or spiritual life. You've had advisors or counselors that help you, regardless of who it is. I do invite you to have those kind of people in your life, because at the end of the day, it'll make you a better doctor and make you enjoy your practice of medicine much better as well. So I hope you have a great day and a great week taking care of patients, and tune in again next time to our next episode of The Truth About Employed Physicians, as John and I continue to dialogue and talk more about the life of the physician. Take care.